I'm going to be looking at all the new Warcry cards. What have just came out. Oh, I need to mute that. That have just came out recently. So I'm recording this video. It's going out as a live Twitch thing, but now I'm just going to export it into YouTube. So if you're watching this back on YouTube, then if people do jump in the chat and I start chatting to them, you know, I'm not talking to myself. So just keep that in mind. But the rest of the video will just seem like a normal video. So yeah, I thought I'll do it this way. Originally I was going to have like my face down in the corner, but my webcam seems to be acting up. So anyway, doesn't matter. If you're watching this video, you want to see Warcry cards, and I'm going to go through every single faction here, so however long it takes, I'll be doing it. So yeah, let's just get straight into it. I'll just do them in whatever order I've got them here. All the packs are open. So we'll start with the big one, I think, the Stormcast Eternals and the Warrior Chamber. Now, there's a lot more cards in these ones than there was in the older ones. The sort of original card packs that came out for the factions had nowhere near as many options as these ones. And as you can see, look, there is just loads of cards. This is mainly because there's loads of different weapon options. And instead of listing the individual units with each weapon, you've just got the list of the different types of units. So you can take Liberators, Prosecutors, Adjudicators, and Paladins for these. And we'll look at their abilities later on. So we'll start with your basic warriors, and we'll put the wound cards there. I'm not sure if these were... Yeah, actually, I think I modelled these up when I went for them. We'll start with the Prosecutors. So Prosecutors, for those who don't know Warcry, I'll just quickly go through what the stats are. That's your movement in inches, so they can move 10 inches. That's your toughness. So they're toughness 5, really good, and one advantage to Stormcast, and they have 30 wounds. And it might seem a lot if you're just an Age of Sigmar player, but as you're about to see, the weapons can do a lot of wounds or damage with each one. So they have two types of weapons. First one is them sort of shooting lightning from their hammers, so it has a 3 to 8 inch range. So there's a minimum of 3 and a maximum of 8. Does 3 attacks at strength 4, and a regular wound does 2 damage, and a critical hit does 4. So in Warcry, a critical hit is any hit roll of 6. So you only roll to hit. There's no separate hit and wound rolls in Warcry. So it's literally just a strength versus toughness roll off, and it works very similar to how it does in Warhammer 40,000. So a 4 against a toughness 5 would need a 5+ to cause a wound, and any 6s, regardless of what you need, always cause a critical. So that's not too bad actually for a ranged attack. That's pretty good. It is only strength 4, but that's still not too bad. There is a lot of sort of toughness 3 stuff in the actual sort of warbands they brought out, but in a lot of the existing stuff, there's a lot of sort of toughness 4 and 5 about, so you do need sort of stronger stuff. And then in combat they have 5 attacks at strength 4, doing 2 damage and 4 wounds, so they're really good, but they are 280 points, and this is the leader one actually. So he's 280 points, so it's really good, and that's why he has the 30 wounds as well. So your regular Prosecutors have 20 wounds. This one's got the Javelin. Still shoots lightning, which actually does 3 and 5 on him, but it is only 2 attacks. So if I actually get it in shot, you can see. Yeah, so 3 attacks with his Javelin. Does 3/5 at strength 4. It's pretty good. Again, he's just 260 points, so certainly I'd have one of these in my list. You normally get about 1,000 points in a normal game. It might seem excessive having like a quarter of your list taken up by one of these, but they seem pretty decent. He's toughness 6 with a shield, so I just noticed, which is incredible. Shields normally give you +1 toughness, so toughness 6 is huge in this game. So I would certainly take one with a shield. I'd probably take him. 260 points is pretty good. 10 points less, you can take one with a spear. Pretty similar, just does 1 less damage on his 2 attacks. I mean, putting it in perspective, to get that extra damage just for an extra 10 points, it's a no-brainer to take this one. in my opinion. You also got the guys with the great weapons, 230 points and 225 on the axe. So the only differences here are stats of their weapon. So you've got 3 attacks with a hammer, but it does it is strength 5, which is quite handy, and 3/5 damage. The sword has 4 attacks at strength 4 with 3/5, and the axe has 3 attacks at strength 4, but it's 3/6. I personally would probably take the hammer because that strength 5 would be really useful. But if I had a choice, I would probably take the guy with the trident at the moment. Regular one with a hammer and a shield, 245 points. Only does 3 attacks with the hammer at 2/4, strength 4. Too bad. For that many points though, I'd want a bit more damage. Again, just looking at that javelin, so much better. For that many points. But, you know, you could have a warband with just 4 prosecutors at 1,000. They'd probably do okay. Especially if they had shields, they'd be very tough to kill. 20 wounds apiece as well. So 2 hammers just give you an extra attack on both of these. And of course you lose that toughness. But you're 15 points cheaper. Retributors now. I'm going to move over slightly so it's a bit more central for you guys. We've got a lot to get through. Retributors, it's toughness 6 as well, which is really good. With the, I think it's a Great Soul Mace it's called. 3 attacks, not too bad. Strength 5 though, 4/8. So he's a bit of a monster. It's only 3 attacks, but to just do 4 damage on a basic attack and then 8 on a critical is pretty insane. And 225 points, pretty good. His only downfall is he has only got a speed of 3, so bear that in mind. All these Retributors have a speed of 3. This is your leader guy. Not too bad. 255, toughness 6, 4 attacks at strength 5, 3/5. You just look at the mace, it's just better. There's only 1 less attack, and it's doing a lot more damage. And then you just got a regular guy. But of course, this guy does have 30 wounds because he's a leader. He's got another guy here with a hammer. Just the 3 attacks, similar stats as the other guy, actually just 1 less attack. So, just 1 less attack than the leader. And I've got one here with an axe. So, he does an extra attack. And he's at 3/6, 3/6 on the damage. He's another leader guy, so he's 30 wounds. Only strength 4 on the attack there. And then the regular version of him just has 1 less attack and obviously less wounds. Another leader option, keep drifting over, sorry. Another leader option, 30 wounds again, toughness 6. Do we have a guy? Oh, the other guys are toughness 6 as well, which is really cool. So they're very tough to kill. You get a whole toughness 6 army, which is crazy. So he actually has a range of 3. I didn't actually look at that, but some of these have extra ranges. So if somebody's got like a range of 2. That can be useful in Warcry, because if you just get a couple of inches out, out of someone and you're in range of them, but they're not in range of you, then they have to burn an action to get into combat to attack you back. So actually, a range of 3 on a weapon is really good. So only strength 4 though, does do 4 attacks, and then 3 and 5 on the damage. Or you could have a regular guy. It means 190 points. 20 wounds, toughness 6. I would probably take this guy. 3/5 on the damage. Only have 3 attacks, but that range of 3 is really useful. However, then we get into your ranged fellows, and range is really useful in Warcry. And these are slightly faster as well. So 3 to 10 inches on the Judicator. I can never remember the names of the actual weapon, so I apologise for that. Not massive damage though, doesn't do much in combat, just strength 4 with 1/4. 2/4, strength 4 on his ranged weapon, not terrible. He does get 4 attacks, so pretty good. You're not going to do much against anything with toughness 5 or above, but I mean, you'll get an average of 2 to 6 wounds against sort of toughness 4 stuff. Terrible. And 30 wounds because he is a leader. And then we've got a leader with a bow. It's got more range, so it kind of goes up to 20 inches. 1 less attack, same strength and damage, and he's just as naff in combat. I think there's going to be a theme in combat. The regular guys just have 1 less attack. In combat, obviously they are not combat-oriented guys. I mean, I have a guy, though, going back just a couple of cards. And these two guys, 240, 235, they're not, you know, they're not too expensive for a leader, and they give you that range, so... I mean, for a Stormcast leader, anyway, that's not too bad. So this weapon here, I apologise again, I don't know the name, but it's 5 attacks at strength 4, and it goes up to 15 inches. Again, these are all toughness 5 guys as well, which is really cool. It's a big advantage for a Stormcast. You won't have a lot of guys, but they will be hard to kill, but I can't see it fitting more than... Really can't see it fitting more than about 4 or 5 people in a 1,000-point list. So bear that in mind. I think you need a Prosecutor for that movement as well. So strength 5 with this bow, 20-inch range as well. 3 attacks, 2/6 on the damage. Would certainly consider that. 205 points. I'd say he's quite a good contender. I'm trying to sort of mentally build up some lists in my mind as I go through this. And this guy here, he's 190 points. You get an extra attack, but it's only 2/4 on the damage. It just seems like if you compare the two, like you would probably take this guy. I always think if you got an extra strength, that well makes up for a loss of an attack. So, you know, if it's the same strength, then you know you might consider that guy, but no, strength 5 and a 6 on a critical is certainly nothing to be overlooked. He's pretty good actually with 205. I guess that's for shock bow. Is it a shock bolt bow or something? I don't know. Do feel free to write in the comments down below what all the stuff is. And then we've got a regular adjudicator. I mean, not too bad, 185. But you're probably only going to get 1 or 2 in your list, so why not just take the special weapons? And then we've got Liberators now. So Liberators are all toughness 5 as well. And strength 5 with a hammer, 3/5, 3 attacks. That's pretty good. That is pretty good. The sword has an extra attack, but it's a lower strength, so there's sort of a theme there. 2 swords, not bad. 170 points though. 2 hammers, I would rather have the 2 hammers. Again, that extra strength well makes up for the loss of attack. I just think strength 5 is so good in Warcry. Like, really don't overlook it, because if you've got strength 4 and you're up against someone like Stormcast who are toughness 5, then you're wounded on 5s, and just be wounded on the 4s rather than 5s. And if you're against stuff what's mainly toughness 4, which is quite common, to go from a 4 to a 3 is huge as well. So strength 5, you know, you want as much of it as you can, if really, and it certainly will make up for that loss of attack, because you know there's abilities you get extra attacks and stuff with anyway. And so Liberators with shields, we've got 4 of them here. They're all toughness 6. This is a leader Liberator, so you can use them to lead your warband. He doesn't really put out much damage with his sword though. I would much rather have, rather have 1 with a hammer. 245, too bad. Seems like a lot, but toughness 6, it's huge. And then you've just got 2 regular Liberators with a shield and 1 with a hammer. Only has for 2 attacks. But again, it depends if you just want to be toughness 5 with... I think I'd rather be the toughness 5 with the extra attack than to be toughness 6. You don't get a lot of stuff what's higher than strength 5 in Warcry, so 6 is a little bit overkill, but it will make you really survivable. So that's it, guys. Oh, I think did I miss this guy? I might have missed this guy. It's another Prosecutor. I can't remember if I'd shown him. He's another leader, just with a spear and a shield. Toughness 6. Not too bad. So I've got his orders all right. So that's for Stormcast, and we'll just quickly look at their abilities. So just their basic double. So a fighter can use his ability only if there is another friendly fighter within 6 inches, with 1 or more damage points allocated to him, and you make a bonus move action. So that's okay. So I believe this symbol was on the Liberators. So again, that's another thing to bear in mind when you do build your lists, is what symbol each unit has. So the Liberators, we'll just go to the Liberators, they're on top now, aren't they? Yeah, the Liberators have that symbol, so they can do lay low the tyrants. Until the end of this fighter's activation, add 2 to the attacks and strength characteristics of attack actions made by this fighter that have a range characteristic of 3 or less, and that target an enemy fighter with a wounds characteristic of 15 or more. So that's pretty good. You'll find a lot of stuff you come up against will have more than 15 wounds. So that's actually really good for a double as well, to add 2 to your attack and to your strength. So if you're doing running in a Liberator with a couple of hammers, you can do some serious damage. You know, you're then getting 5 attacks at strength 7, which is certainly not to be sniffed at. That's actually really good. So the double is for Sigmoid Shield Bash, and I don't know if that's just for every miniature with a shield. I think it is every miniature with a shield by the looks of it. I'll just have a look at some of the others. Yeah, so any miniature with a shield can do the Shield Bash. So not only are you toughness 6, but you get to have this ability as well. So if you're a Liberator with a shield, you can do either or. Until the end of this fighter's activation, next time this fighter finishes a move within 1 inch of an enemy, pick a visible enemy fighter within 1 inch and roll a dice. On a 3 to 4, he does an extra point of damage, and on a 5 to 6, he does a number of damage equal to the value of this ability. That's pretty cool, so just get that extra. I mean, I don't know if you'd use a double just for a 50-50 chance, or no, not 50-50 chance, sorry, it's a sort of 2 and 3 chance of just doing 1 extra damage. I mean, it might come in handy if you just got that double spare. Why not? Not too bad. So the triple is for your leaders. That's Staunch Defender. Until the end of the battle round, add 1 to the toughness of friendly fighters while within 6 inches of this fighter. So that's really good. That is really good. Sorry, I'll get this one shot. That's really good. And because you're already like toughness like 5 or 6 with a lot of stuff, so you do that and just really add to your toughness. That is insane. Wings of Divine Life, I would assume this is for your Prosecutors, of course. And the value of this ability, if you are new to Warcry, when it says value of this ability, basically you roll dice in your initiative phase, and any on the same sort of numbers you can save to be your doubles, triples and quads, etc. And the value is what the number is of that dice. So if you rolled 6 dice and you get 3 of them land on a 5, then your triple value is 5. So add the value of this ability to the move characteristic of this fighter for the next move action they make this activation. So adds a bit of speed. Bit rubbish if your triple is like 1, so bear that in mind when it comes to using your wild dice. You might want to turn your triples into a quad. And the quad, which I assume only works for the Retributor type guys, it looks like it does. Earth-Shattering Blow. So this fighter makes a bonus attack action. In addition, add half the value of this ability rounded up to the damage points allocated by each hit or critical hit from that attack action. So that is really strong. Really strong. There is a quad, so you don't get quads very often, but that is really, really good. And it's a bonus attack action as well. So yeah, that can do a lot of damage. And if you've got a Paladin Retributor guy with like a big hammer or something, just trying to see what damage output is on that. No, 3/5 actually. Oh no, you only got, yeah, but yeah, sorry, I've got a friend with mace here, so he's 4/8 as it is, so if you were to add in like the damage from this ability to that, you could potentially, it's half rounded up, so it goes up to another 3, so you can potentially, on a critical, do 11 damage with that, which is insane. So that's the Stormcast Eternals. They seem really strong. Again, you're probably only going to have about 4 miniatures per warband, but they are going to put out some serious damage and be very tough to kill themselves. So let's move on. I'm just doing them in the order I've got them. So it's Slaves to Darkness next. They're not all going to take as long as the Stormcast. There's nowhere near as many cards with all the others. So I've got a wound cards there. So here we have Marauders, Chaos Warriors, Chaos Chosen, and Marauder Forsman. Not too bad. Quite interesting they got Chosen, actually. So, we'll start with your Marauder Forsman. This is a leader. So they're toughness 4 with a shield, on a horse as well. It's not looking too great for Marauders. 10-inch movement, not too bad. 30 wounds, sort of standard for a lot of leaders. So he does 3 attacks with his axe, strength 4, 2/5. He's okay. We'll see what his abilities are. A regular one with a javelin. He can't throw his javelin unless the ability lets him. He's toughness 4 with 20 wounds, not too bad. 140 points, so he's not too expensive. Only with 2 attacks though at strength 3 with 1/4 damage, so he's really not going to be putting out a lot for his 140 points, and you can go even cheaper with an axe. Again, only 2 attacks, strength 3, and it's only 1/3. So they're not looking too great, these Marauder Horsemen. 120 points though, that's fairly cheap in Warcry. So, I mean, for a miniature that can move 10 inches, it's quite cheap. They might be good for like running to objectives and stuff. Toughness 3 with that shield though, like I don't know why you wouldn't just have one with a shield. I think you have to. You get the extra attacks with the flail and the extra range, which is nice. But again, the damage output is really, really poor. You're not going to get many criticals, of course. You know, 1 in 6 chance of getting a critical. So a lot of times you're only doing the 1 damage if you can even do damage because you are only strength 3. Like they would have no chance against Stormcast. It would be very difficult for them. I mean, on average against a regular Stormcast, you know, you'd need them. You know, 1 of them attacks will do a wound, so you might just do 1 wound. It's not really going to bother a Stormcast on 20 wounds. But you know, you have a lot of them at 120 points, so you know, it's like death by 1,000 cuts if you can get them all, if you can get any through. A Marauder Hero. Again, only toughness 3 and only 20 wounds, but he has only 140 points. If you want a really cheap leader, because you want to put points in some heavier hitters, then he might be a good option. 2/5 is not too bad at strength 4 with 4 attacks. You know, it's pretty decent. Not bad for 140 points. So yeah, he's actually not too shabby. And then your regular Marauders, you know, only 60 points. 10 wounds, toughness 4 with a shield. Not too bad. Not going to put out a lot of damage with 2 attacks at strength 3. But, you know, 60 points is really cheap in this game. 55 points if you want a flail guy. He just suffers from that toughness, but you know that range can really be handy if you use it correctly. You can, you know, for 55 points and you take that action away from someone fighting back, so they have to get in combat. It can be quite useful. Chaos Chosen Leader, so he's toughness 5 with 28 wounds. Not too bad at all. And 5 attacks at strength 5 as well with 3/5. So he's quite good. 250 points, but he certainly could hold his own against a Stormcast and do a bit of damage against them. 5 attacks. You know, on average, you're probably going to do about 6 to 9 wounds against a Stormcast in 1 round. So that's not bad. And then, you know, if you're already in combat and attack them twice, you can do some serious damage to him and get some crits. He can certainly hold his own, so yeah, certainly one worth considering if you've got the points. A Chosen with a big axe. Again, he's toughness 5, which is very nice. 18 wounds, not too bad. Strength, 4 attacks at strength 5, pretty good. 2/5 on damage. So now we've just got the Chaos Warriors. I'm just checking if that guy is. Yeah, I'm sure he is. Is one of the chosen miniatures, and it's not a Chaos Warrior. It might just be a Chaos Warrior of a Great Weapon. I'm not too sure actually. Well, he has the same. He has the same mark as a chosen, so I think he is a chosen. It just doesn't say. But then these are Chaos Warriors. So you've got Chaos Warriors with 2 hand weapons. This is a leader. So he has 25 wounds, 220 points. I think the chosen one, the chosen leader is better. The chosen one. He has 5 attacks, strength 4, 2/5. Compared to the chosen, you know, you just take for an extra 30 points. I think this guy is worth it all day long. 30 points, and you get an extra strength and an extra damage on your attack, and 3 extra wounds. It's just, I just can't see why you would take this guy over him unless you haven't got the points. And then you just got regular Chaos Warriors. So 1 with a shield, toughness 6, really nice. There really wasn't a lot of toughness 6 in this game before these cards came out. Strength 4, 3 attacks, 2/4, and strength 4, 4 attacks, 2/4, but obviously he does not have the extra toughness, so it sort of balances each other out. 145 points for your basic warrior without a shield. Not too bad actually, 15 wounds. I mean, toughness 5 is still pretty good anyway, so they're not bad. They're not bad. I wouldn't mind using some of the new ones from the Start Collecting box. I do have some, and that is my plan to build up a little force, but yeah, I think maybe I'm going to have to convert myself up a nice chosen leader, which would be really good fun. So maybe look out for that in a future video. We have Beasts of Chaos next. And I only just briefly glanced at these earlier, and I was quite interested to see what they could take, actually. I was quite shocked. They can take Dragon Ogres and Bulgors as well as their Gors and Bestigors. So I was really just expecting like Ungors, Gors, Bestigors, and then maybe something else. But no. Dragon Ogres, I love Dragon Ogres. That's just an excuse to get some. Oh, and silly me, I haven't actually looked at the abilities on the Slaves to Darkness. You're probably watching this and shouting at me. We'll quickly look at them before we go back to the beasts. So their double, I'll get used to this. Their double is imbued with dark power. So until the end of their activation, add the value of this ability to the strength characteristics of attack actions made by this fighter that have a range of 3 or less. For a standard double, that's really good. That is really good. And that can make some of your little Marauder guys, you know, some of your cheap Marauder guys actually really handy, because even just adding 1 or 2 to the strength is massive. That is really good. Anyone can take it as well. So your Marauder Forsman on his Javelin can throw the Javelin with the double. I thought that might have been the case. Pick a fighter within 6 inches. On a 3/4, roll 1. You allocate 1 damage. On a 5/6, allocate the number equal to this ability. So, not too bad. They have a Shield Ram ability as well. Almost exactly the same as the Stormcast one, except it does damage on a 4/5 rather than a 3/4, and then just a 6 for the equal. So it's not as good as the Stormcast one, but not bad. You can do Trampling Hooves with a Marauder Forsman on a triple. So basically, it just does the number of damage points equal to a value of ability if you basically charge them or finish a move action within 1 inch. So no rolling to see that one, so that's really good if you got a triple. Your leaders can do Champion of Darkness. So if you take an enemy fighter down with an attack action, you can make a bonus move action and then make a bonus attack action. Really good, but obviously quite circumstantial. And then last we have the quad, which is Lead for Slaughter. So I think this is only used by the Chosen. Yeah. If an enemy fighter has been taken down by an attack action made by them this activation, so similar thing again. Add half the value of this ability to the attack's characteristics of the attack actions made by visible friendly fighters while they're within 6 inches of this fighter. So that makes your leader even better. If you, obviously it's very circumstantial, you need to have a quad and you need to take someone down. You've probably got a good chance of doing that, but you know, handy. It can really buff your really buff your warband, and that could potentially be a game changer, like literally. So pretty good abilities. Still really liking the Stormcast ones, but I think their just basic double is really good. That's really good. So Bulgors, the Bulgor leader, 250 points, toughness 4, 35 wounds. So I think that's the most wounds we've seen so far in this video. I'm going to say so far because I know there will be more. 3 attacks with 1 inch range, strength 5 though, and 3/8 damage. So if you get some criticals, he is gonna do some serious damage. 250 points. Toughness 4 is a bit of a letdown now. Something that big could have benefited from toughness 5, but still, he does with damage instead. And then your regular Bulgors, we've got 3 of them. Oh no, we've got another leader actually by the looks of it. So it's just a different armed leader. So I think you got a leader with a big 2-handed weapon and then a leader with a single-handed. So if you have a 2-handed weapon guy, he only does 3/8 and with 2 attacks, but he does have 30 wounds. 190 points. I think if he just had that extra attack, I think if he had 1 extra attack, he would be worth it. I'm not too sure. I'm not too sure on that one. The leader one definitely seems like a good investment. The 2-handed weapon leader guy does have 5 attacks at strength 5 with 2/5, so not terrible. I mean, it's pretty decent. Strength 5 is huge. So have 5 attacks at strength 5 is really good. Yeah, personally, I think this guy would do better than the other regular guy, because you've got 4 attacks here at 2/4, and yeah, he does 3/6, but you know, it's probably balances itself out. But there's obviously more chance of you getting criticals with the more attacks you have. So they're probably fairly similar. They're the same amount of points. I think I'd still rather have that one though. And just putting 2 damage out on the regular attack. I know this guy does 3, but even putting 2 out is still quite good. Next we have the Dragon Ogres. So there's no sort of leader for these. They're just regular Dragon Ogres. Again, they're only toughness 4. They can move 6 inches though. Yeah, these guys only move 5, which isn't too bad, mind you. Not too bad at all. But these move 6, it's quite nice, so you've got a bit of pace there. And with this weapon, it's 3 attacks at strength 4 with 3/6. This one's 4 attacks at strength 4 with 2/5. And then this one's 5 attacks at strength 4 with 2/4. So that strength 4 lets them down a bit. 195 points each. I don't know. I'm not too sure about that actually. I'm not sure whether that's a wise enough investment. I'm not too sure. I don't see why you would take them over a Bulgor personally. I'd rather take a Bulgor, which is a shame because I love Dragon Ogres. They're just so cool. A Bestial leader, so if you want a slightly cheaper leader, he's 22 wounds, movement 5, toughness 4. 185 points. He does 4 attacks at strength 4, 2/5, so pretty okay. You expect a bit more from a leader, but not too bad. Bestial with a 2-handed weapon only has 12 wounds, but he is only 115 points as well, so he's quite fairly cheap. 3 attacks at strength 4, 2/4 is not too bad. For 115 points, that's pretty good. And you can have, oh, is that the only Bestial you get? Oh no, there's some more over here, so I don't know what's, or is that a, no, that's a Gore champion. So, wow, you get like loads of Gore options, but you literally just get 2 Bestials. Okay. Do these look like Ungors, these little ones? So maybe you do have Ungors, they're just not on the thingy. Yeah, these are definitely Ungors, aren't they? They're just not listed on here. Interesting. Ungors then, 140 points for a little Ungor leader. He's got a little bow, only does 2 attacks, mind you. The thing about ranged weapons as well, they don't benefit from the generic ability, because there's an ability what gives you an extra attack on a double. Ranged weapons do not benefit from it since the FAQ. So just 2 attacks on a ranged weapon, not too great really. Especially at only strength 3 and 1/3 on the damage. So, not a fan of that at all. 140 points though if you want a cheap little leader. He's not going to do a great deal, but if you want to put points elsewhere and you want a cheap leader, there's him. Bulgor with a bow again, pretty rubbish. 8 wounds, toughness 3. Cheap little guy to run around causing mischief, but he's not really going to trouble many people. One with a sword and a shield, so toughness 4 now with 16 wounds. He's again another cheap little leader. It's not too bad. Strength 3 lets him down a bit, but everything else is pretty decent. Spear and a shield, 70 points, toughness 4, 8 wounds, 2-inch reach. Probably decent little unit if you got 70 points to spare. I would certainly consider him. Or you could have this guy for some reason. 10 points less. You just have a spear all day long for that extra range and a 4 on the critical for 10 points more. Hell of a lot better. Maybe if you've only got 60 points left, then just chuck this guy in. Otherwise, don't bother. A little cheap gore champion, 20 wounds, toughness 4. 170 points though, 4 attacks. Strength 4, 2/4 on the damage. Not too bad. Could be a lot worse, I suppose. And then some cheap gores. I'm actually like really cheap. They're cheaper than the other ones. Okay, that's interesting. So 55 and 65 on these. 10 wounds. Not massively great weapons, no extra reach on them. Only 2 attacks on that guy with that guy as well. So this must be a guy with like 2 hand weapons, and that's a hand weapon and a shield. So toughness 3 is going to let him down. Very cheap, very cheap. But again, I would just go for the Bulgor with a spear if I want a cheap little guy. Again, only just do these if that's all you can afford. So yeah, not loads to choose from there, but still not terrible. So a double for everyone is the Brayherd Ambush. Fighter can use this ability only if it's the first battle round. You can make a bonus move or attack action equal to a number of inches on the value of this ability. That's a bit rubbish. It's nice just to have a little universal double that you can just use whenever. But you can use it on the first battle round. Okay. Okay. It's not even that good. Sure. You compare that to the Slayer of the Darkness one, which is like really good. Oh, what's going on? Anyway, a double is Blood Gorge. So this is used by the Bulgors. Let's lay it down there. A fighter can use this ability only if an enemy fighter has been taken down, so circumstantial again. If they've been taken down by an attack action made by them at this activation, remove a number of damage points allocated to this fighter equal to the value of this ability. Oh, I'll get to that in a minute. So that's not too bad for a double. You've got a spare double lying around, you can heal some wounds on them. Pretty good. Again, that's making them even more like, why would you take a dragon ogre over them? Maybe we'll see when we get to their ability. A double for your leaders, Rip, Gore and Tear. A fighter can use this ability only if an enemy fighter has been taken down by attack action made by them, this activation, and they make a bonus move or a bonus attack action. So quite handy if your leader's in combat with more than one enemies, and he kills one, and then you can make a bonus attack to attack another one. Pretty good for a double. Again, but it is circumstantial. For Bestial Charge now, this I believe is used by the what they call Bestigors. So until the end of their activation, Pick an enemy fighter within 1 inch, allocate a number of damage points equal to the value of this ability. So again, it's another one of them ones where if you sort of charge someone or move within, basically you just move within 1 inch of them, then you can just automatically add damage to them. So that's quite good. That makes Bestial really handy as well. It's a triple, but not too bad. And for anything with a bow and arrow, they can do a volley of arrows. They can have one to attack action of characteristics made by them. So that's essentially just gives them an extra attack for their ranged weapon, which is on a triple to do that, whereas everyone in close combat can just do that on a double. It's hardly a volley, is it? And the quad, so this is for your Bulgors. So pick one visible enemy fighter within 20 inches of this fighter and roll a dice. On a 2+, allocate a number of damage points to that fighter equal to the value of this ability. That's really good. It is a quad though, so you might get to use it once per game if you're lucky. So, I mean, that's really good, but it is a quad. Still won't make me want to take them over Bulgors. The only thing is I just love the miniatures more. I love them so much. I really want an excuse to take them and do a little Beast of Chaos force, but I don't know, just the Bulgors is just so much better value. But you never know, it's just worth trying all these things out, isn't it? And we do plan on trying a lot of this stuff out in future battle reports throughout the coming months, so definitely look out for them. We're going to do some monster ones and some with Go Trek as well, so yeah, there'll be a lot of Warcry coming in the future, as well as other stuff, of course. So 3 down, we're slowly getting there. This is probably going to run to a couple of hours, so brace yourself. I might put in timestamps for each faction, just so you can quickly go to your faction. So if look at the description for that, if you're watching this back, and if they're not there, just yell at me in the comments. So Ogre tribes, you get Iron Guts, Lead Belchers and Ogres, and also your little grots. 45 points for a grot, toughness 3, 8 wounds, very cheap. Still 3 attacks though, only strength 3 and 1 free on the damage, but 45 points, that's not to be sniffed at. And you might have a spare 45 points. You're not going to have many units in this army. Again, like the Stormcast, they're quite a lot of points, but they are good for what you get. 250 for a Lead Belcher hero to lead your force. 3 attacks at range, he has 40 wounds. Strength 5, 3/6 as well, so that does some serious damage. Only 10 inches, but it's not to be sniffed at in Warcry. And not terrible in combat either. 2/4 on the damage, which is quite nice, but only strength 4. But still not bad at all. And a regular Lead Belcher. 230 points, 30 wounds. Toughness 4 though, it just sort of puts them at a bit of a disadvantage versus for Stormcast. But again, it's a good solid output at range. A little bit worse in combat, he only does for 1 damage and 3 attacks, so you want to sort of try and keep him out of combat, really. Iron Guts. No, this is an Iron Gut leader. These are the guys you do want in combat. Only 3 attacks, but he's strength 6 and 5/10. So against a lot of stuff, he's probably getting at least 5 to 10 wounds anyway. He has 315 points though, but that is some serious output of damage. And for 235, you can have a regular Iron Gut, who's still, 30 wounds. These are toughness 5 as well, so they're well worth taking. 4/8 on the damage, only 2 attacks though, but again, strength 6. You're probably going to be getting both your attacks through against a lot of stuff. A bare minimum, unless you're really unlucky, you're probably going to get at least 4 wounds off someone. Not bad. 235 points is a lot, but that's some serious damage. I need to get me some Iron Guts. An Ogre leader, so you it just says Ogres on here, but what they call it, Gutbusters or something now. Anyway, he's pretty good. 40 wounds, only toughness 4, but 4 attacks at strength 5, done 4/8. He's going to do some damage as well. So he's pretty good. Your regular ogre with a gore fist and a weapon. 3 attacks at strength 5, 3/6. Again, pretty good. 30 wounds, 200 points. And then one with 2 hand weapons, which I think is pretty decent actually. They do only move 4 inches. I forgot to mention, but it's not too bad really. Sort of what you expect. 4 attacks at strength 5, doing 3/6. I think that's really good. 205 points though, so again, you know, you're not getting a lot of guys. You're probably only going to get about 4 ogres and a grot in an average warband, so choose wisely. I would probably, I don't know actually, I would go with one of each of an Iron Gut, Lead Belcher and Ogre, and then decide which leader I can afford out of that. And then if there's any points left for a grot, I would get that. That would be my idea, so you should get about 4 in doing that. Obviously, one of the leaders was like 315 points, so it's so tempting though. It's a shame I ain't got a calculator at hand just to work all this out. But, you know, if you're watching this, feel free to write out some of your lists in the comments. I would love to hear them, and maybe I'll even give them a try. Certainly would absolutely love that. Let's go on to the Osiarch Bone Reapers. These are the guys I was the most excited to see, because you can have the Necropolis Stalkers and the Death Riders as well as your Mortek Guard. Sorry. Oh, and we haven't looked at abilities. No! I'm just getting way ahead of myself because I'm so excited about looking at Bone Reapers. Sorry, Ogre, More Tribe abilities. Sorry. On the Moor Path. So as you can see, like not everyone has. There's not a generic double for everyone, so I'm gonna have to see like who can do what. So on the Moor Path is for your regular ogres. Add half the value of this ability, rounding up to the move characteristic for the next move action they make. So it makes them a bit quicker. They're only like movement 4, so you can do that. That's not too bad. It's only for their next move action. Double makes might makes right is a double. That's what your leaders can use. And they can only do it if they've killed someone themselves as activation. They make a bonus a move or a bonus attack. So again, if your leader's sort of getting surrounded, that might help them kill a couple of people. If you've got just an ogre with a gore fist thing, I think that's what they're called. And the fists, they can do Iron Fist. So they roll 2 dice if they're within 1 inch of an enemy. And for each 4 to 5, they allocate 1 damage point, and for each 6, they do damage equal to this ability. So it's a sort of a fair trade-off against the less attacks they have over a regular ogre. But again, you need the double to do it, so I'll still be tempted just to have a regular ogre. Bull Charge, which I assume is for... that's just for your regular ogres as well. Until the end of activation, next time they finish a move within 1. So again, there's a common theme. There's a lot of these abilities where you just sort of charge someone and it just does an extra bit of damage. So this will do allocate a number of damage points equal to the value of this ability. So here's some 5/5s and 6s that can be really good. Sneaky Traps. I hope this is for the little grot. That is. So your little grot, your little 45-point grot on a triple until the end of the battle round. Each time an enemy fighter finishes a move action with 3 inches of this fighter, he suffers impact damage. So that's quite cool. So yeah, if you got that triple, you might want to just keep might help take some damage off anyone wanting to attack your sneaky little grot. And then the quad, Thunderous Blast of Hot Metal. I would assume this is for Lead Belchers. And I would be right. Add half the value of this ability rounding up to the attacks and strength characteristic of the next attack action made by this fighter that targets an enemy fighter more than 3 inches away. That's really good. Again, it is a quad though, so it's quite hard to get, but that can really so attack and strength. So that can give you a lot of attacks actually. You can have up to 6 attacks from shooting with that, so that's quite good. And their strength's pretty good anyway. So that's the Ogres. So now we will move on to the Ossiarch Bone Reapers. I wonder how many more times I'm going to do this video, where I forget to look at the abilities. So yeah, as I was saying, you get your Death Riders, Stalkers and Mortek Guard. And you get the various weapon options for them. So there's 2 different weapon options for your Stalkers. The 2 big blades or the 4 individual ones. So your Stalkers have 30 wounds at toughness 4, which is not too bad. They move 5 inches, which is pretty decent, and 205 and 200 points. So pretty standard for a big miniature. Not too bad. 3 attacks at strength 5 with 3/6 is pretty good. Or you'd have 5 attacks at strength 4 with 2/5. I would take this personally, given a choice. Your Death Riders, they move 8 inches. And there is a leader option for them. I was just wondering if there was. 20 wounds for a regular one. Toughness 5 with a shield. Pretty good. So they're quite survivable. Only with 2 attacks though, 2-inch range, which is nice, but only strength 3 and 2/5 on the damage, so they're very weak. 170 points, I'm not sure that's worth it, personally. But one thing this army does lack, or this faction does lack, is speed. So I think you do need a Death Rider in there somewhere. You get an extra attack with a sword, and you forego that range, and you just have 1 less on the damage, so again, it's okay. Personally, I would probably go with the leader. 30 wounds at toughness 5, so he's quite survivable. 240 points though. But he's strength 4 with 2/4 and 4 attacks, so he's going to do a bit more damage than the other guys. I just think there are a lot of points for not a lot of output, but again, you know, that speed could come very handy for objective games and that. Next up, we have a Mortek Guard Leader. Toughness 5 with the shield, which is very nice. Only 3-inch movement. That is where the Mortek Guard really let down. They're very slow. 20 wounds though. 4 attacks at strength 4, 2/4. So exactly the same as the Death Rider in the terms of what you can put out in attacks wise. And he's 60 points less, but obviously you lose a lot of speed, so you know, it depends if you want to spend that 60 points on an extra 5 inches of movement. Guy with a big blade, which I can never remember the name of. Toughness 4, 10 wounds. He's going to die pretty quick, but he's 95 points. 3 attacks at strength 4, 2/5. If he can get some crits off, he's going to do some damage. But other than that, he's probably just going to die pretty quickly. Not too bad though, 95 points. Guy with a shield, you got your 2 inches. Toughness 5 with a shield, which is quite nice. Only with 10 wounds though. And only strength 3, I think that really lets him down. And 1/4 on the damage. With 2 attacks, not going to do a lot. Personally, I'd probably rather just have the guy with a sword. It's that extra attack. You lose the range. There's only 1/3 on the damage, but really at strength 3, you're not going to expect to even get a lot off. You might even be reliant on the crits really to hurt a lot of stuff. You're probably going to be hurting a lot of stuff on 5s or 6s. So I don't know. I think you need more attacks though. I think if you want to get them, if you need them crits, then you need the attacks just to increase your chances. So yeah, I'll probably go with the sword myself, and that is literally it for them. So I'm not going to forget, we are going to go into the abilities. Madrite Weapon is a double which everyone can use. Add 1 to the damage points for each hit and critical hit. And if they have a range of 3 or less, which I think every weapon in this entire faction does. That's actually really good. That's really handy. Even like your little guys, that could be really handy. Just that extra damage. And it's for all the attack actions. So if you get a couple through, it can be a couple of extra damage. That's really good for a double. I quite like that. So next up we have the shield wall. You add 1 to the toughness of your fighter. And you can add 1 to toughness of all friendly fighters with a shield, which is the Bulgor rune, so basically anyone with a shield, and while within 3 inches, so that's pretty good. It makes you a Mortec guard. Toughness 6 then, so pretty good. They've got some good doubles actually, and they can really benefit from the doubles of Mortec guard. So actually definitely become worth their points. Hunt and Kill. This double is used by the Necropolis Stalkers. And they can use this ability if there's a visible enemy fight within 6. They make a bonus move action and must finish closer to the closest visible enemy fighter. So that's really handy. If you want, if you're quite close to someone, I mean, they move 5 inches, so you could use that Hunt and Kill to actually just basically get a bonus move action, and then you could attack twice. So that's really good as well. Death Rider Charge. So do I have to explain it at this point? You charge in, and you do some damage equal to that ability. Everyone's got one. Everyone's got one. For your leaders, you got Unstoppable Advance. Add half the value of this ability to the move characteristics of friendly fighters that are in the same battle group as this fighter. So that's really good. So if you've got a triple, you could use that at the beginning of your turn, and then everyone's getting some extra speed. So again, your Mortec guard, using some of your triples and doubles can actually get pretty decent if you're adding that speed onto them all of a sudden. That's really good. And your quad strike aspect, which I assume is again for your stalkers. So this is your quad. Add the value of this ability to attack characteristics of attack action made by this fighter. So that's really good, especially on the guy with the big blades, because he only has like 3 attacks. You could add a lot of attacks to that. So yeah, that would actually make him really, really scary. And it's add for value as well. It's not add half the value, it's add for whole value. So if that is a quad of 6s, that guy's getting 9 attacks at strength 5 with 3/6. He is just going to be a monster. That's really good. So with Bone Reapers, whilst they might not look too great on paper, their abilities really, really enhance them. So yeah, that's made me like the Bone Reapers a little bit more. I'm gonna do a faction, a little warband of them regardless. So next up we now have another big one. This is the Keratin Overlords. So we have a nice stack of cards here. So we have the Skyriggers first, and there's several of them. Loads of them. There's just so many different weapon options for these guys. So you all them for Skyrigger. So let's have a look. A regular Skyrigger has movement of 10, 16 wounds, and toughness 4. Lots of runes that will help with abilities later on, no doubt. So he has like the big skyhook thing. 2 attacks, 3 to 20 range, only strength 3, 1/3 damage, so not brilliant. In combat, I would assume these are mostly the same. 2 attacks at strength 3. 175 points seems a bit excessive. All depends what his abilities can do. This guy is strength 5 with 2/4. This is a lot better. He has 220 points though. That just seems a lot, but that's pretty decent damage output from him, especially at range. So not too bad. 2 attacks at strength 4. I'm just going through the attacks. They're the only things what's different between these guys. 3/5. You only got 2 attacks though, and I think that lets you down. It makes it a bit harder to get them criticals, but 5 damage if you can. And then the sort of Gatling gun thing has 6 attacks at strength 3 with 1/3. Not to be sniffed at. 205 points though. Just seems a bit too much. But you got the speed as well. You're paying for your speed. But yeah, I mean, chances are on law of averages, say you'll get at least 1 critical there, and there's 3 damage on a critical. You might get a couple more through. You know, not too bad. A leader, Skyrigger guy. So he can actually fire his little pistol at strength 8 with 2 attacks. He has 26 wounds as well. Strength 3 though, but it's not going to do a lot of damage. But these ones are a bit better in combat. He has 4 attacks in combat with strength 4, 2/5, 2-inch range as well, could be quite handy. 260 points, not bad. I'm on the fence with that one. Your regular guys with the pistols and the spears. So the spears, 3 attacks, strength 4, 2/5 is pretty decent with a 2-inch range, and then the pistol, okay. Or you can have the underslung saw, which is strength 5, 4 attacks, 2/5, which is really good. And this is another leader. So if you want the leader with a little rivet gun and the underslung sword, I think I'd go for this guy. Again, the pistol's not great, but the underslung sword, strength 5, 4 attacks, is pretty good. So yeah, I'd go with that. I think he's definitely better than the other guy. 265 points is a lot, but pretty good. And then, was this like the other type of... So I think this is the other type of Skyriggers with the same sort of weapons as we had before. All the weapon stats are exactly the same. I just think they're slightly different in combat, and they have different runes. Yeah, so they've got slightly different runes, but apart from that, everything else is actually the same. So everything else, all these stats are exactly the same. They just have a different rune mark. Sure. It's because you've got the 2 different types of Skyriggers, yet they can still take a lot of the same weapons. And your regular Skyrigger dude with the underslung saw, again, it's 3 attacks this time because he's not the leader. 16 wounds, 205 points, quite a lot though, but that strength 5 is really handy. But I'd go for the leader guy, but I'm not too sure on any of the others. And of course you can take Thunderers. This is your Thunderer leader with the Aether Cannon. 22 wounds, only 3-inch movement, so again, pretty slow. But these guys are all about shooting, so they don't need to be fast. Not really. 15-inch range as well, maximum. 4 attacks at strength 4, 2/4, pretty good. It's pretty good. Rubbish in combat though, but 3 attacks at strength 3. So yeah, there's obviously lots of different weapons they can take. I can't remember the names of all of them. 2 attacks at strength 5 with 4/8 is pretty good. It's a shame it's only 2 attacks, but if there's a way you can boost it, then that would be insane. But pretty strong. They have 12 wounds each, just regular guys at toughness 4, so not very survivable. This one was 175 points, this one's 145. 3 attacks at strength 4 with 3/6, not too bad. For 130 points, you're going to have 5 attacks at strength 4, 1/3. It's okay. If you're fighting a lot of weak stuff, certainly could come in handy. And this guy actually has no close combat, which is interesting. 6-inch range on that with 3 attacks. Strength 5, 2/4, pretty good. 130 points, not too bad. As I say, strength 5 is really handy in this game, so try and get as much of it as you can, really. You do forego some of the attacks, but I just think it's worth it. There's always ways you can boost the attacks sometimes. Mostly in combat though, but I don't know, we'll look at their abilities later. And we've got another one here. 2 attacks. So only 2 attacks strength 4, 2/4. I think that's just a regular Aether Cannon. 115 points if you got it spare, maybe, but I don't see why you would. So going into the Arcanaut Company, the guy with the big Skypike. And they have toughness 3, 3-inch movement and 12 wounds, so they're not going to survive much or get far in a hurry. 3 attacks at strength 4 with 2/5 though is pretty decent. For an 80-point miniature, that's quite a good little output. So if you can get them into combat, he's going to be half decent. And we have some with weapons. We've basically seen these same weapon stats before. Then we have like a little Enlightened Leader. So if you want a cheap little leader, 22 wounds, 170 points. 3 attacks at strength 3 with his pistol, so the pistol's quite weak. His weapon's pretty weak as well. 2 of 4 on the damage though, but he is only strength 3. Kind of let him down a bit, but 4 attacks, yeah. 170 points just seems a bit much. He's not going to be causing a lot of damage in the game. Of course, a lot of these sort of warbands they released, a lot of them do have like toughness 3, so these things are sort of decent against them and each other. But it's just when they start adding things like Ogres and Stormcast and that, suddenly like strength 3 just it's not going to do much. So it really depends who you're playing, of course. But I always try and think of trying to build a list against the stronger stuff, because they will just crush you otherwise. But if you're playing against the more sort of weaker warbands, then yeah, definitely you want the weaker stuff. So it's all circumstantial, isn't it? And then lastly, just your regular little Arcanaut guy. 65 points, same little stats. Just 2 attacks with a pistol at strength 3. It's really not going to do a lot. And then 3 attacks at strength 3 with his weapon. 65 points though is quite cheap. So if you've got them cheap points to spare, then why not throw them in? And abilities, let's see what they can do then. So just your basic double adds +1 to the toughness of your miniature. That's really good. So straight away, that's pretty decent. Most of them are like toughness 3, apart from the Skyriggers, I think, which are toughness 4. So getting them to toughness 5 can be really handy. Your grapnel launcher. So I guess anyone who's got a grapnel launcher. There's some of them in here somewhere. Yeah, so anyone who's got the grapnel launcher. If they are more than 3 inches away from enemy fighters, they can pick a point on an obstacle within 20 inches, remove this fighter from the battlefield, and immediately set them up within 3 inches of that point. So if you want to get across the battlefield really quick in an objective game, then yeah, they could be really handy. So that's quite good. Yeah, for objective games, actually having a grapnel launcher in there could be really good. Harrian drill build, so I assume this will be for the guy who has the drill build, which is your Arcanaut champion. Pick an enemy fighter within 20 inches until the end of the battle round. They cannot make disengage actions, so could be handy. We tend not to disengage so much when we play, we just want to get in the fight, but yeah, you never know, there could be a circumstance where that is useful. Keep your distance, so this is for the Thunderers. You can use a fighter can use this ability only if they are within 3 inches of an enemy and they make a bonus disengage action. That's really handy. There's such a shooty unit. And yeah, just to get out of combat and then shoot twice, really good. It is a triple, but I think that's really good. Your leaders have fight for profit, so until the end of the battle round, add 1 to the attacks of everyone within 6, of all friendly fighters within 6. If this fighter is carrying a treasure or within 3 inches, add 2 of the attacks, add 2 to their attacks instead. That's really cool. Really good. It just says attack actions as well, so it could also include ranged weapons, so that's really nice for a triple. And timed charges is your quad. Who's got them? I would assume it's some of your flying dudes. Some of the Skyriggers. So I can never remember which squad's which, but it's one of the squads. They have timed charges. On a quad, they can use it within 3 inches of an enemy fighter. Allocate a number of damage points equal to the value of this ability to all enemy fighters within 1 inches, and then you make a bonus disengage action. That's actually really good. I mean, it should be because it's a quad, but yeah, that's pretty good. I can do some extra damage, and then you can disengage as well if you so wish. Okay, so that's for Keratin Overlords, not too bad. And I've got quite a few Keratin Overlords, so I should be able to try them out at some point quite easily. Or whether one of the girls will in one of our battle reports. So we have 3 left. So we've just gone over the hour mark, so probably about an hour and a half long this video. To 2 hours. Probably only so long my voice can last. Yeah, run on to myself. I didn't advertise this stream or anything because I'm not really too fussed whether anyone watches. I just wanted to do it in this format because then I can just upload it to YouTube really easily rather than having to go through all the video editing software just to put a video up for, or just upload the file straight to YouTube and wait for that. This can just go straight up. It's not going to be released immediately, but it just saves me a job. Anyway, I'm Batman. We have, for the Disciples of Tzeentch, we have Zangors, Acolytes, and Enlightened. And yeah, it might give me an excuse to paint up some of mine. So, for you seem to be a bit of a funny order. I'll probably muddle them up again. I'll shove these 2 at the bottom. Let's start with the Enlightened Leader. 30 wounds, 10-inch movement, toughness 4. Lots of runes. He's not too bad actually. 3 attacks at range, which is pretty good. Strength 4. And 2/5 on the damage. Not too bad at all. 4 attacks in combat at strength 4 with 2/4, so he holds his own in combat as well. Pretty decent, 280 points though, so he's quite expensive. Enlightened with a bow. 20 wounds for regular Enlightened. 3 to 20 range, but only with 2 attacks this time at strength 4, 2/5. Again, just as good in combat as the leader. We've got another one here, so this is another type of leader you can have, so one without a bow this time. Yeah, because there's 2 types in there, there's Enlightened and the other types. Man, I wish I knew what all this stuff was. It's been so long. They're Skyfires, I think, aren't they? So the other ones were Skyfires and these are Enlightened. So, your leader has 5 attacks at strength 4, 2/4. Not bad. I'd rather just go with the Enlightened though. He is 20 points more. The Skyfire, sorry. But you get that range. And there's only one. And this guy just gives you 1 extra attack in close combat. He does have a different rune mark, which might be handy for an ability, which we'll see later on. And then the regular Enlightened, with 20 wounds, 2-inch range, which is not to be sniffed at. 4 attacks at 4, 2/4. 200 points. It really depends what the abilities do to see whether he's worth it. He seems a little bit excessive for that. Just a little bit. Still, not too bad. You might get a couple of criticals there. So next up we have a leader Zangor. He has 30 wounds, he can move 5 inches, so they're still pretty nippy. Toughness 4. He has 5 attacks at 4, 2/4. Do we have a regular one? I put a regular one in there, didn't I? We'll be going back to them. Yeah, let's move the Acolytes at the back. Let's keep this in some sort of order. The mutated looking dude. I don't know if that's just because he's mutated. It looks like it. So he actually has his own stat card. He has 15 wounds. Toughness 3. 4 attacks at strength 3 with 1/4. He is only 90 points though, and he has his own rune mark, which might do something later, we shall see. Another leader Zangor, this time with a shield. Oh, excuse me, a shield. He's toughness 4, and the other leader was toughness 4 anyway, without the shield, interestingly. 25 wounds this time, not 30. So he's a cheaper sort of Zangor leader. Unless the other guy's just like, whether he's just like an Enlightened on foot, maybe? Do they exist? I thought they were just Zangors. Never mind, anyway. Leave the comments below. 25 wounds, toughness 4, 3 attacks. 24, 2 and 4 seems to be a theme with their weapons. Although if you want a stronger weapon, at 105 points with 15 wounds, you can have a regular Zangor with a greatsword. 3 attacks, 4 strength and 2/5. Not too bad. You can get some of them criticals. You can do some damage. But just 2 on the basic damage is not to be sniffed at, and there's a lot of it in here. He says as he goes to a Zangor. The regular Zangor, 75 points though. It's quite cheap. Be interesting to see how cheap the Acolytes are. Only strength 3 with 3 attacks and 1/4. As he's got 2 weapons, I'd like to have seen him have 4 attacks. If you got a shield though, they're toughness 4, but they only have for 2 attacks up this time. So whether you want the extra toughness for 1 less attack, you 10 extra points as well. And then you got another one here. They really just look like. They look more like the Enlightened on foot. Because they're 20 wounds. 4 attacks, strength 4 and 2/4, so pretty decent. Well, okay, we've got a couple more expensive Acolytes here. So they only have 10 wounds at toughness 4 though, which is pretty decent. That's actually better than the Zangors. Just these 2 though. He has the burn and scroll things, which he can use as a magical attack. 4 attacks, strength 4, 2/4. I think that's really good actually. As you can probably notice from watching this video, a lot of ranged attacks only have like 2 or 3 attacks, so this one's got 4, which is really good. I would probably have him in my force. Pretty naff in combat, but that's where your bread and butter is. You got a little Keratin Acolyte leader. If you want a cheap little leader for 150 points, he has 20 wounds, which is not too bad. Only strength 3 with 3 attacks on the magic attack, and then 2 attacks at strength 3 in combat. So he's not going to do a lot, but if you want a cheap leader, he is there. They all have this magic attack, as you can see. It's the same on all of them. It's just their close combat weapons what's slightly different, and his Vulture, I would assume, has an ability. 70 points, toughness 3 for him, but toughness 4 for the ones with shields. 90 points and 85 points. So again, they're your little cheap guys. Not too bad. They're not going to put out a great deal of damage. Not with their 2 attacks, but they have some range, which could be really handy. To have some little cheap units with range could play really well. And it could be an interesting tactic actually to have quite a few of them and just bombard spells at people. They are weak, but you know, you increase your chances of criticals with the more attacks you get between them. So we have abilities. So their basic double ability is to add 1 to the attacks and strength characteristics of your next attack action, which has a range of 3 or less. That is really good. Again, you know, it suddenly makes your little acolytes pretty tasty in combat. Give them an extra attack and strength. Obviously, your stronger stuff are going to be even better. So with Vulture, you pick an enemy unit or an enemy fighter within 20, and he can't make disengage. So very similar to the drill bill, and by very similar I mean exactly the same. Vicious Beak. So I would assume this is for Zangors. No. Enlightened. Oh, so this is for your mutated guy. Yeah, just for mutated guy. So he basically gets this ability, alter himself, Vicious Beak. Pick a visible enemy unit within 1 inches and roll a number of dice equal to the value of this ability, and for each 4+, allocate 1 point of damage. So if your double is a 6, then you know that's doing like 3 extra damage on average. That's not too bad. Not too bad. You could obviously do up to 6. Guided by the Past, so this is available to your Enlightened guys, some of them. Yeah, the actual Enlightened, not the Skyfires. You could add half the value of this ability rounding up to the damage points allocated for each hit or critical hit from your next attack action that has a range of 3 or less. Oh, and that targets an enemy fighter that is already activated. So that for a triple, that's quite good, but again, you know, it's circumstantial because it has to attack someone who's already activated, but that could be really good. Your triple for your leaders is Master of Destiny. Until the end of the battle round, add the value of this ability. Add the value of this ability to the value of other abilities used by friendly fighters within 6. Okay. So if you use that and then you were to use Guided by the Past, if you could, you would add the value of that to that. And again, with your Vicious Beak, I assume that would work with that as well. Very circumstantial, because if you've got a triple, then you're only going to have 1 or 2 other abilities. Well, no, only 1 other ability, and it's 6 dice, so yeah, it could be handy. Guided by the Future, add half of this ability rounding up to the damage points allocated by each hit or critical hit from the next attack action by this fighter. Activation that targets an enemy fighter that has not activated this battle round. Hope you got that. That can be really good. It is a quad, and I think it is for the Skyfires. Yeah, so it's for your Skyfire guys. So if you get that, that's really good. Adding that value to each hit or critical hit can just do so much damage. And I think some of them abilities will do that are a little bit OP, but you do need a quad to do them. And you're very lucky just to get 1 quad per game, really. Of course, you can use your wild dice to boost some triples. So, next we have the Disciples of Tzeentch Demons. So, we have Blue, Pink and Brimstone Horrors, Flamers and Screamers. So starting with a Screamer, just 1 stat card for them. 12-inch movement, so they're very fast, but they are only toughness 3, but they have 18 wounds, so not terrible. 4 attacks in combat, strength 4 with 2/4, and 180 points. Yeah, that's pretty okay. Flamers, and there's a couple of cards for them. 3 in fact. So you've got your big old Flamer, which I think was this guy comes off the Flamer Chariot kit. He's not actually a leader, but he does have 30 wounds. His flame attack is 3 to 10 inches. I don't know why it's got a minimum range on that. I think the Warcry, I think you just can't do ranged attacks when you're within 3 anyway, so I think that's why it is. 4 attacks of strength 3, so it's quite weak, but it does 2/5, and with 4 attacks, you've got a good chance of getting the critical off. And then just 2 attacks in combat, strength 3 with 2/4. Flamer Leader guy, 220 points, 25 wounds. Again, only toughness 3, but they move 8 inches, so pretty speedy. 4 attacks with his flame, basically the same as the big guy, but only a 4 on the critical. I think I prefer the other one, but if you want a leader, because you have to have at least one, you have to have 1 leader, and you could, if you had the point, to go for this guy. But we'll see what the other leaders are like first. And again, pretty naff in combat, or average. A regular Flamer just has the 3 attacks with the flame weapon rather than the 4. 15 wounds, not bad. 150 points. Yeah, again, they just give you some range, but I think everything's got range in this army because you're going to be shooting magical fire at everyone. So a pink horror for 190 points, toughness 4, 22 wounds, 4-inch movement, so pretty decent. Only 2 attacks with his magical fire though, and it's not the best. I probably would actually rather have a flamer. 4 attacks in combat though, they are pretty decent in combat, so your shooting's just a little bonus for them really. Combat's where they're going to do the damage by the looks of it. And your regular flamers have 12 wounds, and everything else is the same apart from 1 less attack in combat and 1 less regular damage. 90 points though, not too bad actually for 90 points, especially as you get a little extra range attack which can be handy early on in games. And then you've got your blues and your brimstone, so 75 and 55 points, 8 wounds and 6 wounds, only toughness 3. They're not going to do a lot. The brimstones especially, but 55 points, you know, pretty much what you get. And 75 for blue, so not too bad actually. For an extra 15 points though, you would just rather have the pink, of course. So, their ability. So everyone can do the Locus of Sorcery, add half the value of ability to the strength of the next attack action as a range of 3 or more. So it adds strength to all of your flame, so to your next flame attack. So that's pretty good. I quite like that. Again, even if you just get 1 or 2, that makes a big difference. Split. A fighter could use this ability if they have 1 or more damage points allocated to them. Set up 2 new fighters with the Disciples of Tzeentch Demon's Rune Mark and Warrior Rune Mark on the battlefield within 3 inches of this fighter, then this fighter is taken down. In a campaign battle, do not make an injury roll for this fighter. So essentially, what they are saying is you can split your pink demons into 2 blues. I assume. Yeah. It's interesting because the pinks have the... Oh no, pinks have a slightly different rune mark. Wow, they're very similar rune marks. And then you've got split again. So yeah, so essentially this one lets your pinks split into blues. This one lets your blues split into pink. Pretty cool actually. Why not? I mean, you would just take pink horrors or blues. You wouldn't take brimstone horrors normally because once you take damage, you might as well just set up 110 points of miniatures from your 75 points of miniatures. And again, like you can set up 150 points from a 90 point miniature, so you actually get more fee points. So you want them to take damage and split. Really cool. Obviously, they're not as good, but yeah, it'd be quite interesting actually to have an army of pink horrors and then split them, and then later on split them again when they take damage. That could be a really fun game. You can, maybe not for your opponent so much, but you can get 10 pink horrors in a list. So, well, probably less actually because you do need a leader. So you're probably looking about 9, which Tzeentch loves, of course. But that could be a really interesting game to try. But of course you do need doubles to do this, so you can't just be doing it all over the place. But you know, chances are you're gonna have 1 or 2 doubles every time. So it's gonna be fun to try. We might have to try that in a battle report. For triple, a latching bite. Now I assume that's for your screamer. It certainly is. Add the value of this ability to the strength characteristic of the next attack action made by this fighter. In addition, the target fighter cannot make move or disengage actions until the end of the battle round. That's actually really good. Could be really good in an objective game and just trying to latch onto someone and stop them from taking on an objective. Especially if you're still alive towards the end of the game, that could be really good. Master of Destiny, this is for your leaders until the end of the battle round. Add the value of this ability to the value of other abilities to a maximum of 6 used by friendly fighters within 6 inches. So again, not too bad. And then we have the Capricious Warp Flame, which I've probably just pronounced horrendously. Allocate a number of damage points equal to the value of this ability to all visible enemy fighters within 3 inches. That is really good, and that can be taken by your flamers. Really nice. So if you get a quad, and your flamers are in the thick of it, that's going to do some little damage. It's going to do some damage. Especially if you've got a quad of 6s, that is going to be deadly. Alright, so we are on to the last set of cards. And that is the Skaven. So, the Skaven can take, as you can see, Night Runners, Storm Vermin, Packmasters, Plague Monks, Clan Rats, Giant Rats, Storm Fiends, and Rat Ogres. Yes, Storm Fiends. I love Storm Fiends. They are one of my favourite units in the game. In the game of Age of Sigmar, and now in the game of Warcry. Hopefully, let's see what they can do. They are toughness 5. There's no sort of leader option here, but there are plenty of weapon options. 6 weapon options in total. Don't ask me to say what they are. So like warp fire cannons or something, and grinder fists. 35 wounds at toughness 5 each of these are going to be tough to kill. They're up there with Ogres and Stormcast, of course. 4 attacks at strength 5, 4/8. This guy is a monster. 265 points, but pretty good. 5-inch movement. I'm liking him already. For 265 points also, you get an extra attack with this guy, but you do lose the strength, so no. As I've said a couple of times in this video, I would take the extra strength over 1 attack, especially as you're still getting 4 attacks. Absolute no-brainer for me. Absolute no-brainer. It does increase your chances of getting a critical, of course, but that strength 5 is huge. And you've done 4 damage on a regular attack, so amazing. So again, for 265, you could have 4 attacks at strength 4, however, you will do 10. That's right, you'll do 10 on a critical. It's tempting. It is tempting. Or you can have the Gatling cannon things, which do look amazing. 4 attacks at 10-inch range. Strength 4, 2/4. Not too bad. Not too bad if you need that range in your army. Pretty decent. 2 attacks in combat, but it does do 8 on a critical. He's also the same. He only does 2 attacks shooting, but he has 20 inches of range. 4. Strength 4. I think I'd rather have the Gatling. 20 inches is quite a lot in Warcry. Like 10 inches is still pretty decent. So I think I'd rather have the 2 extra shots. And we have this guy, so he has a 3 to 8 inch range with only the 2 shots, but he is strength 6, but I'm not too sure on that. 3/6 on the damage is pretty nice. I think the 2 shots really let him down though, and again, combat's exactly the same. So out of all of them, I would probably go for that guy. Just a combat monster. Plague Monk next with little Plague Monk leader. So if you want a cheap little leader, 150 points, 16 wounds, 6-inch movement, so he's pretty decent. Toughness 4, 4 attacks at strength 3 with 2/4. Not too bad for a cheap little leader. Or if you want some cheap little Plague Monks, they are 70 points apiece. Only toughness 3 with 8 wounds. And they do have their own rune mark, so that's probably a nice little ability for them. Just strength 3 though, but this one with the pole does do 5 on a critical. 3 attacks. That's pretty good though. That is pretty good. You know, a couple of attack activations, the law of averages would say you'd get 1 critical off. Of course, it never works that way, but not bad. Not bad for a cheap 70-point unit. You could, you know, a few of them could do some crits. and do some serious damage against anything. Storm Vermin now, so we've got a little Storm Vermin leader for 170 points. Toughness 4 with 20 wounds. What was the Plague Monk leader? So the Plague Monk leader was cheaper. He had less wounds. It all depends what these rune marks do ability wise, but otherwise you'd probably just take him over him, but of course we don't know what these abilities do just yet. We have a Storm Vermin with shield. Puts him up to toughness 5 for 115 point miniature is not bad. He's got a 2-inch range, which is very handy. Just for 2 attacks at strength 3, which is a bit of a letdown, but he does 2/4 on the damage. Or you can have one with a 2-handed spear and get that extra attack in exchange for your toughness and 10 points less. So these are... Is that just a regular clan rat? I assume it's just a clan rat. Toughness 4 with a shield. It's a clan rat leader. So if you want a 45 point leader, which must be the cheapest leader in the whole game. So if you want a really cheap leader, just leading like 3 Storm Fiends or something, you can certainly do that. That could be fun. 45 points for your leader. 16 wounds, 4 attacks at strength 3, 2/4. Not too bad for 45 points. You know, he's pretty good for 45 points. But of course, he would be the only leader you could take. So it all depends what else you want to take in this army. Clan Rat with Spear, you know, he's even more points. Of course. I wonder if that's a typo. That seems so cheap. He's got twice the amount of wounds as this guy and decent damage. Wow. That seems like a typo. Has there been an FAQ yet? I don't think so. 75 points for this Clan Rat. That's thrown me a bit. 2-inch range, 2 attacks, strength 3, 1/4. Regular Clan Rat with a shield. You have an extra attack, 1 less on the damage, and you lose that range. Toughness 4 though, pretty good. Rat Ogres next. So there's a couple of types of Rat Ogres. Yeah, a couple of types of Rat Ogres. 40 wounds on this Rat Ogre. 40 wounds, and he's not a leader either. 235 points. Toughness 4 is a bit of a letdown. He only has the 2 attacks, but they are strength 5 and they do 3/6, and that's at range with his gun, so not too bad. And he has 2 attacks in close combat, strength 4 with 4/8, so not bad at all actually. If you can fit him in, he's certainly gonna cause a nuisance with all them wounds. And yeah, if you can boost his attacks, then he's gonna be a bit of a machine. Certainly just using your onslaught to turn that into a 3, so you get 6 attacks with 2 attack actions, with 8 on the critical. That's gonna make him quite nasty. Again, you just basically got. I quite like this guy actually. 225 points. He hasn't got the range, but he has 2 extra attacks. Only 30 wounds. But again, 8 on the critical, and if you can boost that, then you can really increase your chances of getting a lot of criticals, and he could do some serious damage. I would probably take him like as a must. 5-inch movement is not too bad either. I would certainly include a regular Rat Ogre. And as a Packmaster, whether he has abilities to boost for Rat Ogres or do something with them remains to be seen. We'll have a look very soon. Toughness 3 with only 8 wounds, so he's going to die quickly. He's got a little ranged weapon, which I assume is probably his whip, 3 inches. 3 attacks, strength 3, only 1 and 2 on the damage, so pretty weak. And again, pretty weak in combat with 3 attacks at strength 3 with 1/3, which is exactly what a little giant rat can do. However, they are only toughness 2 with 4 wounds, so they're going to die just by looking at them. But 35 points if you have 35 points to spare. 70 points to spare, chuck 1 in or a couple. Otherwise, all depends on the rune max, doesn't it? And then lastly, a little Night Runner. They thought they'd throw in a Night Runner for good measure. Toughness 3 of 8 wounds. Again, cheap little throwaway, 75 point miniature. If you got the points, you could throw him in. 8-inch range on his weapon. So there's no minimum on that one, which is interesting. 2 attacks of strength 3 with 1/2. Not going to do a lot. And then 3 attacks in combat. 3 attacks. Strength 3. 1/3, so only 75 points. Don't expect too much from him, of course. So abilities, let's see what they can do. So a fair few of them you may have noticed had this rune mark. The Giant Rat does, for Night Runners and Night Runners and Packmaster do, as does for Clan Rats. I think that's it. Oh, and the Plague Monks as well. So basically, sort of generic stuff. A fighter can use this ability if they're within 3 inches of an enemy. On a 4+, they make a bonus disengage, so sort of scurry away. If you need to survive to grab an objective, and you want to just run away quickly, then that could come in handy. Otherwise, they don't have ranged attacks, apart from the Night Runner and Packmaster, so they're not really going to benefit otherwise. Crack the Whip, which I assume is the Packmaster. Pick a visible friendly fighter with a beast rune mark. There you go, that would be your Rat Ogres. Would it be your Storm Fiends? No. So pick a Rat Ogre. Within 4 inches, he makes a bonus attack action what has a range characteristic of 3 or less. That is so good. That is really good. So if you've got this guy, and then you've got your 65 point Packmaster nearby, then when it's his activation, you can get him to have another attack. That's really good. Because he has 4 attacks. That's really good. I would chuck these almost both in as an auto include. It's almost 300 points, but that's pretty good. It's only a double to do that. Obviously he's got survive, but that's a lot of wounds. He has a lot of wounds. Of course, you could do that guy if you wanted, but because he could do the extra shooting. Oh no, it has to be a close combat attack. So you just would use that guy. Hired Bodyguard. So that is for So that's for your Storm Vermin. So your Storm Vermin and just your Storm Vermin. Until the end of the battle round, friendly fighters with the Leader rune mark cannot be targeted while within 1 inches of this fighter. Wow. So that, keep one of them close to your leader if you want your leader to survive. That could be really handy. Crushing Charge. This is used by the old Storm Vermin. Until the end of this fighter's activation, the next time this fighter finishes a move action within 1 inches, we know where this is going. Allocate a number of damage points equal to the value of this ability. Lead from the back, so this is for your leader. Until the end of the battle round, add half the value of this ability, round up, and to the attack characteristic actions that have a range of 3 or less by other friendly fighters while they're within 3 inches of this fighter. So, too bad. Could be really cool if you whack your leader next to that Rat Ogre and have your Packmaster nearby, and you could just buff him so much. Like, he just gets better with these abilities as well, as you would expect miniatures to get better with abilities. But yeah, so you could add that to his attacks as well. That is nuts. So he could potentially have 7 attacks. So that is nuts. And it's all friendly fighters within 3 as well, so that would put, keep them all together. That's crazy. So it's until the end of the battle round. So if you've done that first, then you went twice for your Rat Ogre, and then you gave him the extra ability of your Packmaster, that's like 21 attacks. And that's if, that's if he didn't do he used the Onslaught himself as well, so you could buff him even further. That's nuts. That is nuts. Of course, you're using up Well, actually, you probably couldn't do that because then you'd be. Oh no, you could. You could potentially have 2 doubles and a triple with your wild dice. So, yeah, that's just circumstantial. But yeah, there's so many ways you can buff that guy. It's so cool because he's just good anyway. I'm getting too excited about one Marauder. Right, we're almost there. Recite from the Book of Woes. Now, of course, this is the Plague Monk leader who has the Book of Woes. There he is. Until the end of the battle round, enemy fighters cannot use abilities while they are within 3 inches of this fighter. That's pretty decent. If you can chuck him in the middle of your enemies and use that, it's pretty good. Pretty good. That said, they could just, if they're not in combat, they could just move and then use an ability. So, yeah. For a quad, I probably wouldn't use the Plague Monk anyway. Not when there's a 45-point leader that's not been FAQ. That's got to be wrong. That has got to be wrong, hasn't it? So yeah, that was every Warcry faction card that GW have released recently. They're all here. There they are. We've just seen them all. The majority of you will be watching this back on YouTube. If you've made it this far, congratulations. Well done. You have almost as much stamina as I do. Talking solid for an hour and 3/4 just about cards. As you can tell, it's pretty much destroyed my voice. But yeah, I wanted to do this because I wanted to show everyone what they're like. Just in case you're thinking about picking them up yourself. And yeah, I think I will maybe go through a video and add some timestamps. So then go in the description, find the faction you're interested in, click the timestamp, and boom, you're there. Or if you just love them all like I do, then yeah, I hope you've sat back and enjoyed them. And if you have, please give this video a thumbs up. Like and subscribe, especially if you love Warcry, because there's going to be a lot of it coming on this channel within the next few months, as well as Necromunda and other games that we're going to do, and playing tutorials. We've got so much planned in 2020, and we'll be reaching 10,000 subs very soon as well, which will mean a massive giveaway. So if you want to be part of that, then make sure you are subbed to the channel. Very excited. 2020 is going to be a good year for this channel. So yeah, I'm so excited from that Rat Ogre, as you can tell. I will see you all again in the next video. Thank you so much for watching.